What's going on, guys? It's Adam P. Full time at St James's Park. You might be wondering, why am I not at St James's Park? I am. Trust me, I am at the game tonight. But transfer news has been pre-recorded a couple hours beforehand that will come out at the full time whistle. What a day it has been for Newcastle United. Get in there. Finally, good, positive, ambitious, real intent from Newcastle in the transfer market, despite the unfortunate circumstances. They've seemed to be able to find a solution to Alexander Isak, and that's the first important point to make. The resolution. We now know which direction Isak is going in. Out. He is going out to do his celebration out of our football club, and he is, you could say, made his own bed. He will get the move he wants. I'm sure Liverpool are going to pump good money into him, but we'll talk a bit more about him in a bit because I've got a strong message for Isak now. Just from me, Espanol vlog will be merged together with the Atletico Madrid content. So the Casala Cup weekend all together because there's a lot going on tonight. So I felt like that was the best way to go around this weekend. If you guys are new around here, make sure I get down there, hit that subscribe button. 60% of you watching this video are not subscribed, so make sure to do that so you don't miss any upcoming content. There's going to be a lot of videos taking place this week. Newcastle are heading in nice and quick to try and get players sorted for the Aston Villa away match. Of course, our Premier League season begins next week at Villa Park. I will be there, so make sure you are subscribed so you can see it firsthand. Now, starting off, Yoane Wissa. Of course, I made a video a couple hours ago talking about why Yoane Wissa will sign for Newcastle United this summer. 2 hours later, Keith Downey and Sky Sports have followed up with the news that the representatives of Wissa will be meeting up with Newcastle United to secure a deal in the region of £35 million. Now, Brentford wanted 40. Deep down, they've been forced into a sale, and I can sympathise, by the way, with the Brentford fans. We can talk about Isak, and we will talk about Isak in a bit. I also disagree with Wissa. I disagree the way he's handled it. I get it, Brentford fans. I feel for you. But I am a Newcastle United fan, so obviously I'm going to be rooting for Wissa to come into this football club. And once he does come in, I ain't saying anything about it. But, of course, Brentford lost to Bruno, lost Wissa. They were two huge parts of their team last season, and they've got a legitimate chance of going down. So I feel for you guys. I get it. I understand it. But, of course, our job now is to go and get that transfer. And at least you guys get some good money for him. Now, when you look at Wissa himself, of course, 19 Premier League goals last season, with all due respect, and an average Brentford team. Again, him and Bruno are a key part why they have been able to stay afloat, but this season they're going to struggle a lot without them. This is a player, as a Callum Wilson replacement, by the way, brilliant. What a Callum Wilson replacement he is. And this is also a player, throughout the entire summer, has always said, only Newcastle I want to join. Could have went to Tottenham. Brentford did not want to sell him to Tottenham, and he also chose Newcastle over Tottenham. And this, by the way, is a player who has played under Thomas Frank, the Tottenham manager, and also lives in London. So he's actually moved house up to Newcastle whenever that happens, because he would rather play for Newcastle in the Champions League. This is exactly the sort of player you want in Newcastle. He's going to give 100%. He's got a point to prove, and he wants to be here. And for the amount of players we have heard this summer who have said they don't want to be here, to see a player that has went the opposite way and said that I want to be in Newcastle, come on in, Wissa. You come on in, and you're going to do wonders for this club. I can't wait to see him play. Let's get this deal done. Let's sort this out of Brentford. What a player he is. He's going to do well for his football club. 29 years old. Will be playing in the African Cup of Nations, of course, this season, which means no Nicholas Jackson. It was Wissa or Jackson. I feel like myself and a lot of our fans in social media may have misunderstood the situation. So it was kind of like, could it be Wissa and Jackson? But now that you look at it, Wissa or Jackson, that's the message I get. It would have been one of those two. Either of those two players as a Wilson replacement, I would have 100% took. I prefer Wissa over Jackson, though. Wissa's a more suitable player. Wissa's a more calm player, is certainly one way of going about it, and a player I'm keen on. He destroyed us last season. He absolutely ripped our backline apart last season. So this guy is going to come in and he's going to do wonders for us. And again, I will say, what a signing this would be. And of course, who is going to be the Isak replacement now? It's been linked that Samu at Porto is that option. 21 years old, scored over 20 goals in all competitions last season for Porto. 6'4", has the same height as Alexander Isak, and it's almost an identical story. Will lightning strike twice for Newcastle United? They went for a younger striker, unknown striker, I could argue, someone that we don't know how he's going to do in the Premier League. But they did it to Isak, it worked wonders, and it's the same attempt again. They're trying to get a young striker to come in and to explode in the Premier League. But this time, he has the support of Wissa. Wissa's the experienced striker that's going to be leaning into the apprentice, you could say. Wissa will help take pressure away from Samuel, and this is a player who's going to be explosive, is going to bounce onto the scene, and I think, as far as an Isak replacement goes, that is as good as it gets. And I might sound a bit fickle to any Manchester United fan watching, but I would actually rather Samuel over Benjamin Sesko. We just don't know how Benjamin Sesko is going to do it in Newcastle United. That's not a discredit towards the player, because Sesko is a brilliant player. There's a lot of question marks surrounding him. How would he do on the Eddie Howe system? Whereas this is a player that is very similar to Isak's build, similar to the way he plays. And this is a player that will come into Newcastle's team a lot easier, if that makes any sense. I'm happy with this. Of course, there's a difference between being linked to a player to signing the player, but certainly coming out from this Isak situation, that is as good as it gets from this point onwards. We are far down Newcastle United's transfer list of strikers they have got written down, but that is as good as it gets at this stage in the transfer window, and it tells us all the reality. No more Alexander Isak. His time at Newcastle United is done. There is no way back for the player. We knew earlier in the week, meetings took place at Eddie Howe. That was the one-on-one meeting Eddie Howe wanted. And at the time, it was hard to see which way it would go, because after losing out on Benjamin Sesko, you kind of had to have the door open for Isak, because in an emergency, you would have to keep a hold of the player. But Newcastle feel like now there is no way back for him. Alexander Isak has lost the right to wear a Newcastle United shirt, and he will never ever play for this football club again. Eddie Howe has remained firm on the situation. Isak, despite those talks, has not returned with the first team. He has continued to train by himself at the training ground, and Eddie Howe's stance is clear. You need to respect this football club. And my stance towards Alexander Isak is also clear. He will leave this football club, whether that be to Liverpool or to someone else. He will score goals, he will win trophies, he will have a successful career. That's the sort of player he is, because of the ability he has. Now, there is nothing for most Newcastle fans that says he cannot leave Newcastle United. Of course he can. If he wants to go elsewhere, we will not stop him from doing that. But actions speak louder than words. The way he has behaved with Eddie Howe, the players and our fan base is shameful. And one day, when his career is done, he will look back on his time at Newcastle United with just memories when the cameras stopped rolling and when he stopped kicking the football. He will look back in Newcastle with regret. He will look back with guilt, and he will look back in Newcastle thinking, well, if I left the football club in a different way, fans will remember me better. And that is exactly it. We have won silverware because of players like Isak. Now, that's a big deal for us. Liverpool fans may go, only a League Cup, Adam. Well, yes, we haven't won silverware domestically since 1955. A lot of our older fans have never seen Newcastle United win silverware. So that day was such a good day for Newcastle United fans. And players like him had that legacy. But he threw that away because of the way he treated his football club, and the way he handled the situation, the way he absolutely spat in the face of Eddie Howe. We took Alexander Isak in from Real Sociedad when no one else did. We took a punt. We took a gamble. We knew he was a good football player, and we splashed out good money to bring him in because we knew this is a player that's going to take Newcastle to the next level. And the first sign of any real opportunity to move elsewhere, what did he do? The second he saw a club that wanted him, wanted out, he continued to play this crap, clearly half-arsed a good amount of games last season for Newcastle. And again, the way you treat people, the way you show respect to old people, you will be treated and you will be shown respect the same way back. He has shown Newcastle a lack of respect, and you'll never be welcomed back at Newcastle. When he's returned, when he's walking around, and bearing in mind, football's a short career. 10 years' time, his best years are gone. It is that short. When he looks back at Newcastle, when he looks back at his time at the football club, we're never going to welcome him back. We're always going to feel that tarnished legacy. And that's something that's going to linger around his career. Yes, he may play for Liverpool. Yes, he may play for Real Madrid, Barca, whoever it may be in the future. that's always going to stick with him. It's always going to float around like farts in the air. It's always going to stick with Isak, and that's something he won't forget. And I reckon one day, when it's all said and done, when it's quiet and when the noise is away from him, I think he'll remember the memories, and they won't be good memories at Newcastle because of the way things ended. Sour, and that's the way his legacy ended at Newcastle United. He's got no one else to blame but himself. I get it. Behind the scenes has been a mess. I get it. He's had promises that have probably been broken. I get it. He's been taught things that haven't happened. But did not give him an excuse to walk out in the team, and that's exactly what he did, and you can't defend him for that. You cannot defend Isak and the way he has handled the situation. And Liverpool fans watching this video, you can't say I'm not being fair. I'm being fair. He can go to Liverpool. You can sign for Liverpool. You can play for Liverpool. I'm not saying he can't do that. His actions, however, have been disgusting. They've been disgraceful. And Liverpool fans watch this. You can't agree and defend Isak. I'm not having it. Any of you watching? No. No, I'm not having it. Isak has not deserved and not earned the right to be defended by Liverpool fans because of the way he's acted. You guys were big on Trent. I agree. I also agree with Trent. You guys were huge in leaving this football club. Isak, yes, is not a local lad in Newcastle, but has still disrespected this football club. Do not have double standards. Don't do it. You know this hasn't been right. You know behind the scenes Liverpool has clearly tapped the player up. 100%. Liverpool behind the scenes has been getting this player out. They've been telling him stuff. They've been in the back of his ears, and why I can't prove that. You know Liverpool have definitely been trying to get this player in for months on end. They will get the player, but they will do it for a record-breaking Premier League fee, which benefits the Newcastle United, and they will also do it off a player's tarnished legacy at a football club. He has ruined everything he's had at Newcastle United, and it's his fault. I'm not blaming Liverpool. It's his fault, by the way. But Liverpool, you know you haven't done this in the best of terms. I'm not having it. But yeah, sorry about that. Got nothing against Liverpool fans, by the way, but that's how I see the situation. Isak has lost the right to wear a Newcastle United shirt, and he won't do it again. We won't forget him. Wissa, Samuel, if it's those two coming in, that's the best we could do from this situation at this moment of time. But behind the scenes and in this transfer market, he has done us over and he has screwed us. He has properly screwed us this summer. I'm not having any more of this Isak defending because he doesn't deserve to be defended. But yeah, that's it from me today. I wanted to get through the striker stuff. I wanted to have one final little word towards Isak there, because I'm not happy with him at all. He doesn't deserve our respect. He doesn't deserve to be treated as a legend at Castle because he's ruined that honour and privilege. He will do wonders at Liverpool or elsewhere. He will win trophies, but he will regret one day. That is the message I'm standing by, and I will stick with that for the rest of my days. But yeah, take care, everyone. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you all tomorrow for the Atletico Madrid Salah Cup vlog.